I'm really glad to have these opportunities to have met my Korean readers, and I think it's 안녕하세요 in Korean,
Great.
right?
Right?
Oh, and I'm very glad that we have Mr. Kwa as the interviewer with me, and I haven't read his work because there is no translations in Chinese, but I read from the Wikipedia that said that Mr. Kwa is a very talented science fiction writer, and I'm eager to read your works too.
Actually, there's one my short story translated in Chinese.
Yes,
Well,
okay.
maybe I can tell you in some way, but I think today is the main guest is you. I think we should talk more about yourself. So
Okay.
let's start with all those questions. We have lots of things to cover. So let's start. So in order to know you, in order to understand your stories, I'd like to hear about your opinion about what your favorite fiction as first recommendation to the readers,
Okay.
especially to the readers who have not yet read your stories. What will be your recommendation?
Well, it's actually hard to pick one. I always think that every reader has their own favorite genre, so it depends. However, if I need to choose one for the readers who are not familiar with my works, I think the Diogenes variations might be a better one. I've got it here, this one.
Yeah. I have one. I have one copy actually, which is my own possession. I read them. They were really good.
It's a compilation of 17
Right.
independent short stories, and with the themes from crimes to science fictions to horror. With all these different styles, the reader might have a greater chance to have something they prefer.
Yeah. Right. So is there anything your best pick from all those stories in that book? My own favorite is that the story about Santa Claus, murder
Oh,
case of Santa Claus.
yeah,
That
yeah,
was my favorite. I think that was really um, moving and cheerful story, even though it is very funny
first,
story. Yeah,
but it's
it
very
is kind
soft.
of comedy, but it has very emotional feeling about what the family
Yeah.
is and what the life is. So I really like that very much. What is your favorite? What is your recommendation for the readers, for the readers?
Uh, it's also very hard to answer because
Uh huh. Uh
uh,
huh.
once in an interview, I was asked the same questions, and I said that it's like asking a parent which child is their favorite. So
Right.
favorite is really hard to tell.
Okay.
But I can tell you about which stories that I have a special feeling to.
Mm-hmm.
The first one, the first story, which is uh, I kind of pronounce it in the Korean. This one, the first one. Yeah.
So that one
Uh,
is some
the,
person
the,
who is watching internet video
the,
or very
yeah, the
dark
film
website to kill
Yeah,
someone,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right.
And
Okay.
this is why this is special to me because actually I submitted this work is for the contest in Taiwan, which
All
is
right.
the contest of literary writers of Taiwan award. Um,
Okay.
it's very interesting that award that you can submit multiple works. You can
Hmm.
submit one or two or even three or even I once heard that there's some contestants submit five works, but they all failed. uh, at that time and in that contest, I've already submitted two works,
Uh-huh.
but there is 1 week before the deadline, but I still had an urge to write one another. So, but I'm not sure that if I can make it because there's only 1 week. The last 2 pieces I submitted each spend around 1 month each. So I don't think a week that I can make it. But I feel so the urge is so strong that I want to write it. So surprisingly, I finished this story in just 3 days. It's so fast. I felt that there was no hiccups or no trouble during the writing, and the story just flowed out from my head. And very interesting that the feedbacks from the readers were pretty great too, and even some said that it is even better than the other 2 that I submitted. So I think started from that moment, the 3 days that after I finished the work, I started to believe that I could be a professional writer. So that is kind of started my career.
So I think that story has a really great plot twist. I mean, it has a good surprising ending, and also it has it has good ending. So I think it was really great. But you are now telling me it is only written in within 1 week. That was amazing. That was
I think it's just pure luck.
Pure luck. Okay. I think that having a good luck is good talent for the writer. I believe so. So, okay. So then, next question. So I've had experience of reading your work. So I think you've known all your work, right? Among those, all your work. Well, what do you think is your best work? I mean, from your point of view.
Best work is for sales. For sales, it's definitely this one. This sells a lot.
Really?
The income was very great.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I also think that it's very hard.
Can you tell me how great? I mean, about sales. How much? How many great?
I think is for the Chinese version, the traditional Chinese version. I think it is reprinted 13 or 14 prints.
13 or 14 times reprinted.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And
That's great.
I think it's also sells very great in Korea. I heard from my agents, and surprisingly, it also sells very good in Germany.
Germany.
I didn't expect that. So they even very the publishers got so happy that they make a good sales, and they sign up the other works. This one for the German versions in the second year. So I think if one book sells good, and then the publishers will always look for something else from the same writers. So it's very ironic, because no matter how great you think you are, you have to have one book that sells, that the publishers would like to publish it again and again. So it's always there. It's always a first step you need to go.
Okay. So what was the reason? I mean, from your opinion, what was the reason why this 13.67 sells very well?
I think it is because it's a compilation of both some classical mystery with some like modern crime thrillers that reflecting the situation of the modern society, and especially the Hong Kong City. People, the readers always. I have met some young writers in Hong Kong. they always ask the same questions. Like they said that, Mr. Chen, you have your work published in the other countries. Do you need to adjust your style to write something for the foreigners? That, for example, like the cultures or the style that people are talking, the dialogues or something like that. I always re-ask them the same questions, but I will always ask, well, you live in Hong Kong, you are a Chinese reader, but have you ever read the English novel from US or from Europe, or have you read a Korean novel, or have you read Japanese novel? Do you think that they have adjusted their style to meet our standard? They say, oh, then they understand it. Because I think every readers in every country, we are always eager to read something else, to know the cultures of the different country. So it's always good to put your own style or the way about the society or the situation or the environment of your own country or own city, so that the readers would love to read them. I think in the 1467 is very Hong Kongish, Hong Kong style. It's very deep, and talk about the history of the city, how it's changed. Talk about the police. Talk about the crime. And I also know that in Korean, it is the Hong Kong movie was very popular during the 90s or 80s, right? So I think especially for the readers in Korean, if they read, for example, like the fourth chapter in my book, which features heavy gunfights in the crowded mansions, and I think they will always bring up, oh, that's like the one I have seen in the old movies from Hong Kong, and if they already know that, it will come has a feeling that special feeling that is very familiar or nostalgic. So I think even the Korean readers will enjoy this, and that's why I think this is why it is very popular in Korean too.
Right. Yeah, I totally agreed with you. Yeah, I found, yeah, you're right. I find many Hong Kong thing and Hong Kong style from that book, right? Yeah, you're definitely right. And that was a really great part. And what were the best story from other work? I mean, when you were young, what was your favorite writer, or what kind of mystery novel that you read many times? What was your best from other writers?
Sherlock Holmes.
Sherlock Holmes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
I even love to reread them after all these years. The plots are very interesting, and the characters are charming, and the story are so short and simple in the modern standard of modern view point of view, but it is still very unexpected. I think that every writer could have learned something from the author, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Let me ask you in this way. So, as a young child, did you always become a writer? Did you always want to become a writer? No.
Oh, I didn't think about being a writer when I was young. I even didn't think that I would be a writer after I graduated from the university, because I studied in computer science in the university and have a degree in computer science. I became a software engineer after graduations, and that's, I think, is like 10 years, 10 or 11 years. I'm talking about I take a break, and I want to study the some new technologies, because the engineering, the software engineering, the industry evolve every day, and you need to have some new skills, and I have to update it. And during that break, I noticed that there was a writing contest, which is the one that I just told you, the Mystery Writers of Taiwan Award, and this contest, you can submit your work by email. So it's very convenient. So I just took a try and wrote a story. It got in the final, it got shortlisted, and some good response. And then I re-entered the award next year. And the next year, that is the one that I submitted the three works, and including the one that I just talked, the Blue Who Stalked the Blue. And after that, I won that award for the second years. So I have a chance to go to Taiwan to the presentations and met some writers and editors. So then I realized that it is possible to start a career as a writer. Then I became a full-time writer. So you also asked me, did I write before or became a writer? Well, I did write something when I was still studying in the university, but I think this is just write some short story for fun. I remember that I have watched a movie called Waterland. And it's
with Kevin Costner. That's
no, not that one. Not that one. Waterland is the Kevin Costner one is the Water World.
Water, right.
No, Water World is Waterland. It's kind of a blend with a drama and a crime, not a mystery story, not a mystery fiction. Actually, that one I think is featuring Jeremy Irons. And there is another male actor. I didn't recall his name. Okay. And after I watched that film, I felt like I want to write a story. I don't know why, but after watching that film, I want to write a story, and that was the first time that I write a fiction. And actually, Waterland is adaptations from a novel with the same name, which is Waterland, and it is by a very famous English writer called Graham Swift. I haven't read his work, even I haven't read this book, but I think the movie is very great. But I have only written some very short story at that time. I mean, during my studying in the university, and after that.
So your first try was also mystery story.
Actually, the first one it has a little bit mystery elements in it, but it is talking about a boy a boy and a girl who want to run away from their families and become and together, but there is a little twist at the end. So I think there is a little bit like a mystery, but it's not crime mystery. Okay. And
is it published in any book?
No.
It's only in your memory, right?
Yeah, I think in my hard disk.
Right. Okay.
In my computer, somewhere in my one of my old computers, but. That was very immature, so it's very hard to maybe I need to modify it before publishing, I think.
So okay, you mentioned that you prepare all your plan or all your map of your stories before actually writing your story, right? So what do you use? Do you use a big sheet of paper, or something like some software from your iPad or anything else?
Yes, I use my iPad as my notebook. I I actually have a document, or I could say that multiple document files to save the ideas, and I have one document that there are over 30 ideas in
Okay.
it. So every time I want to write a new book, I will just open the document and see if there is one of the ideas that could be used in the story. Um,
So
Actually, I think
you're saying idea. Is it like one sentence or some full
oh,
description or one paragraph or something?
it depends. Sometimes it's just one sentence or just a
Okay.
couple of words. Uh, I think that would be the most high concept one that you can
Uh-huh.
briefly describe it in one sentence. But I
Uh-huh.
also have some ideas that would have multiple lines or one paragraph, or
Uh-huh.
even with some brief characters design in it, so that it would be more specific, like
Uh-huh.
the mystery, the trick in it, how the twist would do at the end of the story. It depends. There are many different types. So I would just like something like pick this one up, and this one that can be combined together, and then I would just make it a story. Like actually, there are six chapters in this one this book. Uh, Actually, the first one, the idea was very is a very old idea in my document. I've written that the armchair detective that can only say yes or no. That is the
Mm-hmm.
one line that
Mm-hmm.
I have written sometimes before. I didn't remember when was it. I think it's maybe even right before I submitted my work in the contest of Taiwan Mystery, the Mystery Writers of Taiwan Award. But I can reuse the idea because there are so many that I think this one would be fine to fit in the story, and then I pick it up and put it in it. Yeah, that's more like it.
Okay. Next question is my favorite question. Can you tell us what's the best way to make a plot twist for the mystery novel? Easiest way for a trick of crime?
Okay. Um, I'm not sure if it is the easiest way, but I always think backward. I
Uh-huh.
always think about the ending first. Like for example,
Uh-huh.
like I just tell you that I have a document. I have some ideas in it, and most of the ideas are actually the ending part of it.
Uh-huh.
Like eventually there's a trick, there's a murder, but the murder is how to make it so the twist is there. So I always come with the twist first, and if I can even use an example, a new example, just make up here. Let's say if I want to write a locked room murder mystery, I have to consider what the twist is. Like I would say that it is a locked room mystery that people think that the murderer vanished, but eventually it is actually a suicide. So the main purpose is the victim committed suicide so that he could frame his wife for killing him. It's as a revenge or something like that. That would be the final part of the plot, and it would be the twist. Then you have to ask a lot of questions to yourself, like how the locked room is constructed. Is this a really locked room, or is a place that there are so many other witnesses that can say that there is no one entering the room? Uh, is this how does the victim perform his crime? how did he kill himself? And also, there is always one very important question: if the victim want to frame his wife by committing suicide by pretending it is a murder, then why did he make a lock room? It is so nonsense. If you want to frame someone, you never make a lock room. So in that case, but we always know that a lock room mystery is very very interesting and very appealing. So you have to think why the lock room was formed, how the lock room helped the victim, the culprit, to frame his target, or why would he do it, and are there any other characters related to his plan, or what are their roles? There are a lot of these questions, but if you have proper answers to all these questions, then you will have a very rough sketch of the main plot, and then you can refine the detail, and then it will become a complete story.
So you mentioned that asking yourself many questions. So are you actually writing down? I mean, are you actually wrote down all the questions somewhere? I mean, for yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually write down the questions, and even I said I use the iPad or the documents to do the notes. If I have a questions, I have the answer, and then I think that the first answer is not great. I think I can come up with another new idea to answer the question. I won't erase the first one. I will just put a cross after it and then write the second one, so that I remember that I have this thinking process. I know that the first one is not good enough, but the second one is I think is better, and then there may be a third one or fourth one. But eventually, sometimes later, you may find that actually the first one is not that bad. It is even better than the others one after like 3 months or 4 months. Then you can pick it up again. So I think this is a very important thing for the writers to doing those. Never erase anything. Just put a cross after it, or just write a line through it, or something like that. Keep every step of your thinking.
What do you do when you cannot think of any good answer to those questions? What do you do if you cannot find any good answer? Or if you don't have even a good idea for a new story, what do you do?
Well, idea. I've just said that there are a lot of ideas I've already put out in my notes. So if I don't think I would have a sort of ideas, because I can always pick something up. But if I pick something up and then I plan to develop it, and I find that it's very hard, very difficult to make it complete, or just like you said, I have some questions that it cannot be answered. Like I want to make a locked room, but the locked room mystery that I actually cannot find the reason to justify the situation. Well, then I can have two options. One is to completely modify the main plot. Like I would ask myself then, if in that case, should I use the locked room again, or should I move it, just remove this element? Or the second option is I would just put it down and forget all about this, because I have told you I would do all the planning first before writing. So in that time, if you just put aside, you actually don't lost very much. You don't lose a lot, because you didn't haven't written anything yet. If you start writing and then comes out that I can't finish it, then it would be a very very severe loss to you. Yeah.
Okay. So when we read your book, I mean, like that Diogenes variations, we've read several your stories, but maybe now I can think of there are several forgotten or thrown away stories that you gave up, maybe, right?
Oh,
No, you're always successful.
um, I actually I think it happens a lot when I first started my career. It didn't
Really?
happen recently because if you get more experience, that you will know that from the very at the very early stage, that you will know that this idea would work or this idea won't work. But in the old days, like I said, like 2000 and now 2010, during the time I just started my careers, I actually write a lot planning or do the thing, and I even started writing. At that time, I didn't have the procedures I have figured out after all this year. I started writing, and after I write pages, I think this one I don't know how to to go on, and then it just live as a document inside my hard disk again. So I think there are 5 or 6 story in document in my hard disk, which is from that time. And I think there is one story that I wrote 20,000 words already. Just it just there stopped it, and it didn't finish it till now. I think it's almost 10 years. I even forget about the details. I reread it. I think in last year I reread it again, and I think what is this character do, and why is this line is what this seems like a plot twist for the later usage, but I can't remember what it is. So maybe it would be a very interesting way if I finish it later, because I would need to deduce how I planned it, and it would be something new maybe in the future. So I'm not sure.
Now I'd like to hear your opinion about the character of Hong Kong mysteries or Taiwanese mysteries. What's the differences between Hong Kong mysteries and mysteries from other countries? What will be the unique character of those stories?
Uh, actually, I think it is very hard to say that there is a special characteristics or special things in the Taiwanese or Hong Kong mystery fictions, because this genre has just started a couple of decades ago in the Chinese society, and we are still finding our path. Uh, if we look into the Western, like European or the Americans or the Japanese mystery novels, they have a much longer history, like at least 80 years for the Japanese, or the over 100 years for the Europeans, like the English one. So I think compared to them, we have only just like 20 or 30 years. So I think the characteristics are not actually uh, uh, obvious now. Maybe in the future we will see some uniqueness, like the Taiwanese mysteries might have more elements about its special historical status and its island culture. And the Hong Kong one might have themes like more about the identity crisis, or a fast-paced, a high-density city. But for now, I don't think we have obvious uniqueness yet. Maybe in 10 years.
Okay. Okay. So you told me the history of Hong Kong crime mysteries, and suddenly I don't know. Maybe you know that you know the thing. Um, when I was young, like 30 years ago, like 90s or even 80s, there was a famous Hong Kong detective called Weasley or something. Do you know him?
Yeah.
Weasley. Yeah. And some writer called Yi Kwang or something. Yi Kung.
Yeah, Lee Kwang, Mr. Lee Kwang.
Yeah, Yi Kwang.
He's a
Yeah.
he's a
He
very
wrote the
famous.
Weasley. Yeah, that's the name of the detective, right?
Yeah. But the Weasley series is actually more like science fictions than Miss Prime Mystery.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
and you will
Okay.
always see that the plot twist, the ending, is involved with aliens or some people with a special power or some special
Right.
science fiction stuff.
Right.
And actually, Mr. Lee Kwang is one of the we think that he is the godfather of the Hong Kong science fictions.
Right.
He also wrote a mystery, but he didn't write a pure crime mystery that many. He had works that in that genre, but most of his work are actually science fiction.
Okay. Then what is your recommendation of Hong Kong crime mystery writer or Taiwanese crime mystery writer, except yourself?
Oh, okay. I actually had talked about a couple of writers in last year's book fair. I think there is the clips and it. But I think I would love to introduce two new, not new, but I didn't mention it before. There are two writers I would love to introduce to the Korean, and because especially they don't have their works translated in Korean yet, so it would be probably something new for the Korean readers or even the publishers. For the Taiwanese writer, I want to talk about Lin Su-yan. Yeah, Mr. Lin. He is one of the most iconic mystery writers in Taiwan. And I think he have published over 10 books. So he is a very experienced and a very well-known mystery writer. He is a doctor in philosophy, and his daytime job is actually a professor. Almost all of his work features a philosopher detective called Lin Roping as a protagonist to solve the classical mysteries. And I want to mention Mr. Lin because some of his work has already been translated into English and published in the well-known Ellery Queen mystery magazines.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he is a very iconic writer in Taiwan. He has a one short story called "The Ghost of the Badminton Court," which is already translated into English. It's still one of my favorite short story. So I think the Korean publishers should take a look into his work and maybe introduce them to the Korean readers. And for the Hong Kong side, I want to introduce Trevor Morris. So he has an English name because his grandfather is English, but his mother, I think his grandmother is Chinese. Mr. Morris, or I call it Trevor Morris. He is a doctor in law, and he is also a filmmaker. He hasn't published many books, but he has one novel that called Detective Furor. I think it is a masterpiece. It's an adaptation of the classical Sherlock Holmes stories, but Trevor put a very interesting twist in it. He placed the characters in the 19th century's Hong Kong. So we have Chinese Dr. Watson, who fought for the Qing dynasties against the Russians at Ely, got injured, and met a Chinese Sherlock Holmes while recovering in Hong Kong. So it is an adaptation of the original Sherlock Holmes story, but make it into the old Hong Kong. It's a mix of classical crime mysteries, historical fictions, and adventures. This novel, I think, it would be translated and published in Japan later this year or maybe next year. And there's also one very interesting thing. Trevor Morris is actually the elder brother of the Hong Kong movie stars or the actress or the singer Karen Mok. I'm not sure. Do you know her? I always wonder if this book has Karen Mok. Karen Mok.
Okay.
She started in some Stephen Chow's comedy movies as the main actress. And Trevor Morris actually is her elder brother, and I'm always wondering if this book adapted to be a movie might be Miss Karen Mok would be in it.
Thank you for all your kind introduction. And back to your own story. The recent book of yours that I've read was Diogenes Variations, the compilation short story books that you already mentioned. Why did you put that title to the book? Variations, is it something from music?
The questions you ask is what is about the title of the book, Diogenes Variations. Well, for the part of variations, actually it is well, you're right. It's actually from the idea of like the music, like the classical music, because I think the work in it is actually varies from a certain theme, but there is no one single theme like the classical one just varies from one single theme. But I think this is the variations from the thing I like or the thing I feel like to write or something like that. And for the part of the Diogenes, I also feel that I feel like Diogenes who stay in his wooden barrel, or when I stay in my room on my bed with the paper on my stomach and I started to write. I really feel like the same. So I think although I'm staying on my bed in a very small room. Fly to all the places. I can freely go to different countries or even have different universes when you're writing science fictions, right? And there is actually one more reason why that book was titled Diogenes. Most of the short stories in that book serve no particular purpose. I just pick what theme or style I like and I start writing. For the long story, like the full-length novel, as a full-time writer, you need to consider a lot of things, like how the publishers could do the promotions or whether the book would be received by the readers, or is it okay for the market, the book market. And but the short story always grants me greater freedom. For example, like I think there is one science fiction in this book, in this compilations. There is called the incident number 9 of Planet Kala. There's a very weird, very strange one. I think it's so. Even as a writer of that story, I think it is very weird and nerdy. There would only some hardcore science fiction fans or mystery fans would enjoy. I would always love to write a long novel with a theme like that, but I know that it's very hard to sell, so I would just write it in short story.
Right. I think now it is time for the final question. It is about your future. Is there anything you would like to write in future? Is there anything like your dream of your own writing, or is there any long term plan of writing anything?
Um, Actually, well, for the long time, um, I don't have anything specific, I think.
Anything
Um,
specific? Okay.
yeah. But I really do want to write sequels
Sequel.
to some of my published work, especially the one that which is not very popular. Yeah. I once wrote a mid-length horror pulp fictions called
Okay.
the Worm Humanoid. It's
What?
a worm, WORM, worm humanoid. It's a worm
Okay.
human, something like a
Okay.
horror B rank B graded slash movie or something like that. And I really want to spend some time to write a sequel to it or make it a
Okay.
trilogy.
Okay.
And I also actually have ideas to write the sequels of when the gold screams. Yeah. This one, this one, this one. I actually have idea to write a sequel, but I
So you already have some stories in your mind, right, for the sequel of that book?
the sequel. Yeah,
The story is
I'm already
already there in your mind, in your brain, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some, I think I will write it in maybe a few years later because I'm actually working on the sequel of this one.
Okay. Okay.
This one, there are more voices. The readers would love to see the sequels of this book. So it's much louder than this one. So I have
So
to
writing what readers want first,
Yeah.
and after writing what you love.
But actually, I want to write this one, the sequel of this
Okay.
one more.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. I think now time is up. Thank you for your precious time. It was a really great time, and there was very valuable stories, priceless. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
I hope you
you too.
sometime later maybe we have something like this time once again. I really wish. Thank you
I
very
really
much.
hope to go to Korea, right? If the COVID pandemic is over, I definitely would fly to Seoul and meet you guys.
I hope so. Welcome. Okay. Mr. Chen, thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you
Have a
very
good day.
much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye bye.